The moment after a natural disaster is a window of time that can be used to adapt to climate and its change, but this opportunity is often wasted. How can the collective amnesia that sets in shortly after disasters be prevented? How can sustainable design be made more probable? Our previous work has featured ample experience with urban floodplains, and we gained a deep awareness of the difference between rivers in dry season, when levels are low and flow rates are moderate, and the rainy season, when rivers become forces of nature. We worked on real floods with our students before, but so far we were not around when extreme flooding started. During the Ahr Valley disaster in July 2021 in Germany, one of us was. This allowed genuine insider views into the flooding and related post-disaster measures. The Ahr flood was the result of very pronounced heavy regional rainfall events in connection with a low-pressure system from 12th to 15th July 2021. Heavy precipitation of varying durations occurred during this period, while the local soil could hardly absorb any additional water. A kind of tsunami carried away large amounts of trees and debris, causing nearly all bridges in the valley to become clogged and destroyed. In the evening of July 14th, a family of 4 was sitting astride the roof of their collapsing house 20 meters away from us. Minutes later, the house was torn away and 2 of the 4 died. Then the neighboring house collapsed, killing another family of 5. The next morning, the destroyed bridge emerged from the falling water level, while of the 2 houses only base plates remained. The paper title, Flood Landscape Autopsy, is a reference to the emergency app What 3 Words that divides the world into 3 meter squares with a combination of 3 words. It allows precise rescue missions, but in our case, it was too late, too quick. When the house of our neighbors was torn away, filmed by a drone pilot, they were not the only ones struggling for survival. Many lost their belongings and faced damage. 70% of all buildings along the river have been spoiled. More than 70 kilometers of infrastructure became unusable. More than 40,000 people were affected. Almost 140 died. After a disaster, amnesia makes people forget what primarily should be designed, built, or rebuilt. Although thousands of buildings were damaged, the government announced that only 34 of them should not be rebuilt. Remarkable in times of climate change debate and postulated adaptation strategy development. Without a thorough review of a disaster, sensible decisions become unlikely. We use the term landscape autopsy on the basis of its origin. The Greek word autopsia means the act of seeing for oneself. Post-disaster analysis and subsequent planning and design should not only be based on documents of high abstraction level like maps with zones and lines, but it should also incorporate what people have seen and experienced. When time and accuracy are invested for an autopsy, the temptation to give in to amnesia and repeat the mistakes of the past can be lessened. Designers must take time to think before they act. Little attention has been given to an older floodplain map published by the Responsible Water Management Authority in 2005. In October 2021, the same authority published new maps of the Ahr floodplain. The red line indicates the flood of 2021. The blue line, the floodplain by law since October 2021. The yellow hatching marks where rebuilding may not occur. The map was drawn in haste, while it generates irrefutable and long-term consequences. Though destroyed by the flood, the house next to the damaged bridge in Ahrbrück lies beyond the yellow zone, thus may be rebuilt. Also, this house may be rebuilt. It is statically safe, therefore grandfathering applies, while its future flood protection is a voluntary task. Due to such repeated mistakes, we suggest to take a slow academic approach to the post-flood design task. Before designing or building anything, we suggest to look in retrospect like pathologists do, rather than designers who strive for immediate action and quick creation. We intend to fill the gap between reality, recollection, and forward planning with evidence that is supposed to trigger cogitation, like in an autopsy. We visually superimpose secondary planning criteria published as government-endorsed technical drawings with primary sources like eyewitness accounts, footage, and imagery. Like that, information made public through social media is translated into a spatial common ground to reveal the disparity in the post-disaster recounting of events that unfolded. Only the identification of specific locations overlaid with past information does justice to the complexity of a flood disaster and meaningful design responses. The visual superimposition of precise location information with relevant planning information will lead to continued memorization and sustainable design action. The official development lines redrawn after the flood in 2021 rather distract people from considering precisely what happened and what should happen. Our framework demands high complexity expressed in terms of a multi-layered data stack. However, it is the natural river itself that delivered the clearest and most revealing facts. The small and harmless-looking R River, commonly drawn as a narrow river channel surrounded by vineyards and old villages, marked off its natural territory and became a wide stream. In our related design studio at the Norwegian University of Life Sciences, we call this version of the river the Muddy River. The best post-disaster design would have been to let this new river territory, created by the river itself, widely untouched, and hold it available for future flooding. This opportunity has been missed. Thus, we advocate that an autopsy should precede any planning and rebuilding after any flood event of the future. Lines and maps are too abstract for the development of smart post-disaster climate-adapted future-proof design solutions. Reality is tough, yet it should not be abstracted, but included into design decision-making processes. Augmented reality is what is needed. Let's work on it together. Thank you for your attention.